Hey, this is Smokestack from Consciousnexus. It's very late and it's very cold in my house, and there's no one here because the Earthling is dead. He'll be alive again tomorrow, but I'm going to release this episode by myself. We worked very hard on this Flicker Rates podcast. Please stay tuned. Thank you very much.
That wasn't even trade, dude. That's fair. You stole mine, I stole yours. It's all good.
Can we do this, please?
Yeah, I've been waiting. Welcome to Consciousnexus.
What is that?
Alright, so this is of course the Flicker Rate episode.
The Flicker Rate hate.
Flicker Rate. We're gonna cover it in depth, but I want to know, Earthling, I want to know right now, is there anything else in the news that you want to go over before we get started on the main topic?
I've already gone over the fiscal cliff.
I went over it.
What about the gun ban that means the end of the world?
You're not allowed to accelerate little pieces of metal at tremendous rates. Not allowed.
You know what? Let's just come out and say it. We at Consciousnexus, we love the president, and we believe that gun-free zones are safe, and we think that it should start with the White House. And we want to lead the campaign to make the White House a gun-free zone. The White House has guns?
They have guns all over the White House. I mean...
Oh, I heard a lot of those guys, like, they even got bullets in them and shit, and, like, they're crazy accurate when they shoot.
Why would anybody want to kill Barack Obama? That doesn't make any sense.
No, they wouldn't. That's why they don't need guns at the White House.
Oh, yeah. We should,
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, no guns at the White House. Yeah, that's great. That's a good thing to do.
They should lead by example.
For example.
I say that, metal accelerators are very, very dangerous.
Consciousness campaign to ban guns at the White House.
Well, I think that I can very easily get inside of my car on a Friday at 5:30 in the afternoon and go downtown to Chicago on State Street and jump up on the curb and cream about 5,000 people if I wanted in about 20 fucking seconds.
So let's announce two programs right now.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna boycott automobiles.
We want to ban cars.
Cars are illegal after this point. Now,
So this is the Consciousness campaign to ban cars.
ban cars.
Ready?
One, two, three. What are we saying?
Consciousness campaign to ban
Okay.
cars and automobiles.
Okay, this is good.
Consciousness campaign to ban cars.
From doing everything.
Check out the mini video on that coming soon. Anyways, what else is in the news?
Yeah, the fiscal cliff is stupid.
The fiscal cliff is stupid because there's like a fucking...
No, fuck it. I don't even want to talk about it.
I could talk about it right now. I don't know anything about it, and neither does anybody else, and they're not telling anybody shit about it. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
There's no reason to talk about something they ain't telling you shit about.
Whatever it is, it means they're going to figure out another way to take money from us that's not in the main section of the bill. It'll just be attached in some weird place, and it'll just fuck us.
Oh yeah, and they'll probably say that they're gonna come seize all our guns and cats for some dumbass reason. Our cats. They'll take your cats one day too.
Consciousness campaign to ban cats.
Look out!
Let's
Look at her. No, the Flicker Rate thing is happening.
Let's move on to the main topic.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, go ahead. You start it off, man, because I'm ready to go. I got shit to say about this. So there's this company called Intelligent Optical Systems, IOS. They make an LED flashing flashlight that incapacitates you. The LED incapacitator.
From far away, you flash it in your eyes and you fucking puke yourself if you look at it for too long. You fall over, you get disoriented and shit.
And who has this?
It's called Intelligent Optical Systems. They make this flashlight that they're gonna give to law enforcement that like turns you into like a seizure retard if they put it in.
And so that's... All right, hang on. What we're talking about is we're talking about flicker rates, and what we found out is that flicker rates are something that concern a bunch of different industries, and they can occur in a bunch of different ways and actually have a bunch of different effects on the human brain. And it's something that it seems like it's been studied pretty extensively, but we've had a really hard time finding any actual information about the studies.
Right.
So
and
it's,
it would appear that right off the bat, frame rate is something used in filming, and the flicker rate is something that's equal to refresh rate in a television or computer screen. So
Frame rate is the amount of frames that a video...
frame rate is the amount of pictures that are shown.
Pictures, yeah, right.
Right.
Basically,
Right.
the amount of frames, they were literal frames in film, and it's the amount of frames that...
frame rate is frames per second.
Is
flicker
refresh rate is equal to refresh rate.
is
Pretty much.
right.
Pretty much.
And it's the amount of times per second that an image refreshes on a screen, and it doesn't have to do with the actual video signal that's coming through.
Right.
It actually has to do with the projector that's projecting the image onto the screen that you're seeing.
Right.
Correct? Okay.
Yo, we got a caller here on Consciousnexus. The phones are ringing off the hook, of course, and we're gonna take one call right now. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We got Vince calling in from Woodridge. Thanks for calling in, Vince.
Oh, no problem.
I assume you want to talk about flicker rates?
Well, yeah, I mean, you refer to them as flicker rates. They're a part of what CRT type monitors, how they create a picture. That I've always heard them referred to as, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I've heard them referred to as flicker rates, but more appropriately, they're called refresh rates.
So what do you know about the history of it?
Well, they were doing a lot of things back in the 70s. They were experimenting with subliminal advertising by using frame rates which they established. See, there was a big transition from live television and film broadcast to video broadcast, and the distinction is videotape is done on magnetic tape. Film is actually film, and the frame rate for film was 24 frames per second. And what they did with video was to make it work more as a divisible of the refresh rate of a CRT, what we were all looking at back then. They made it 29.97, which is referred to as 30 drop frame. So that means that they could drop in a frame. I believe a frame corresponded to 1/10 of a second, which they found to be like an optimal amount of time for people to see something and have it register, but have them not really consciously register that they had seen something. So in other words, they were accessing people subconsciously. And obviously if you're accessing somebody subconsciously, you don't want them to know about it. That's the whole nature of the thing.
So they were actually able to pull this off?
It was pretty successful. Eventually the FCC, which, I guess back then had some legitimacy, the FCC stepped in and outlawed it in the United States, but it went on around the world for decades.
So they changed the frame rate?
No, the frame rate is still the same.
Okay, what did they outlaw?
They outlawed the use of, they established a minimum amount of time that you could broadcast any particular image.
Oh, okay.
Out of context.
So
what
So they came up with a way to reasonably prevent subliminals?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then they started playing with different frame rates in the because the original the way they outlawed it was they said no, you can't have 30 frames per second. You can't drop in 10 frames into a 60 hertz CRT. Well, then people just started playing around with the math, and eventually they toughened up the language so that it strictly forbid, subliminal advertising of any kind. Now, that brings up a good question, though. Even though they outlawed it, how well is that being patrolled? Because if it's subliminal and it doesn't register with your conscious, is it registering with the FCC's conscious ability to detect it? And now that they've expanded, you know, I mean, TV, you know, it's not uncommon to have 400 or 500 channels on your TV.
Right.
Now, is the FCC doing diligent monitoring of 400 or 500 channels on the, you know, the 700 or 800 cable systems that exist and satellite systems? And, you know, I mean, is that reasonable to think that they are? I don't think it is.
Yeah, well, so we were talking earlier about the flicker rate, well, or refresh rate is a lot higher now than it was when subliminals were known to be rampant in media. So do you think it's still possible to
pull that
sure,
off?
yeah, I mean, it's just math. It's just straight math.
So
they also have,
what is the
don't
basic,
forget,
the basic
don't forget,
math involved is what, that you want to have a flicker rate that corresponds to the frame rate in such a way that it can implant things subconsciously? Is that the deal, or?
Yeah, no, I can't prove this, but it seems like I read somewhere that the optimal amount of time is 1/10 of a second. So if you're shooting, well, let's say you have a new TV that refreshes at the rate of 120 hertz. So that's 120 times per second.
Right.
And you're shooting it in an HD format. And there is no standard format anymore for video. That was just done to establish when it was 2997, it was established as for purposes of uniformity, so that a guy could go out and shoot video and bring it back into a place for post-production, and it was accepted.
Okay.
And their equipment would work with it.
Right,
well, now, guys are shooting, do you remember seeing a show on TV that was, I saw them shoot a bucket of water, like one of those canvas buckets of water?
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, well, they were shooting that at over 1,000 frames per second.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I forget exactly what that was. Now, the frame rate in video, see, in film, frame rate is really frame rate. It's how many frames go past the lens of the camera in a second.
Right, okay.
So, in video, what it means is the correlation between the shutter speed and the refreshing of the electronics. And those two things have to be synchronized. So, I mean, if you can shoot at 1,500 frames per second, and then, you know, I mean, slow it down so that, you can watch it at, say, 100 frames per second, and have it look, you know, like super slow motion. You can do all kinds of shit with that math, you know?
Yeah.
And and your refresh rate on the average LCD or LED TV is 120 hertz, which means it's refreshing 120 times a second.
So what would you think someone would aim to do with the math? What exactly would they be trying to do?
This is theoretical. They'd probably be experimenting with ways to use that math to accomplish the same kind of thing. Since I would guess there's specific language outlawing the way they were doing it, the way they were, you know, dropping in subliminal messages.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
they find
now
another
the
way.
math,
Could
the
it?
math is much bigger.
What have you heard about the flicker rate being used to create a sort of hypnotic state in the viewer, so they can be more susceptible to suggestion? And it's not something subliminal; they're just more likely to believe what they're being told directly.
Well, the Japanese were experimenting with that because they had much laxer laws about how they could manipulate frame rate. You know, whatever their equivalent of the FCC is.
I've heard
Yeah, the other thing is, I mean, a lot of that can actually be attributed to civil liberties. I mean, believe it or not, there are countries that have more of an interest in civil liberties than ours does.
But would you think
Even
Japan
though-
is one?
Huh?
And you think Japan is one?
Well, I think in some aspects it is. I think that they're so overcrowded that there's a certain philosophy there, give the people what they want and they'll keep from killing us.
More than 700 people, mainly school children, were rushed to the hospital Tuesday after suffering convulsions, vomiting, irritated eyes, and other symptoms of watching Pokemon. Pokemon?
All right, so we do have some evidence that certain flicker rates have some effects on the human brain.
Oh, guarantee. There's a whole syndrome based off helicopter pilots falling out the sky because of the rotor blade blocking the sun at a certain rate. It starts to make them feel funny, and then they just stop flying the helicopter. So that's real.
Yeah,
That's a
so
real
that's-
thing. It's
that's
called,
another thing.
That's a real thing.
We should.
The busha,
How is it spelled?
B-U-C-H, B-U-C-H-A. The busha effect.
Bucha or Bucha?
Busha
We don't know.
I don't
Whatever.
know. I don't know how to say it exactly, but that's what it said on the internet. So, and this basically means that when posed with a stroboscopic effect from the rotor blades of a helicopter, these pilots were just
Just like coming incapacitated and like stroking out and just crashing and shit. Like they didn't know where they were or any of that shit.
And it had to do with the light.
All right, so going forward, we want you to understand a few things about brainwaves.
a human brainwave chart.
All
I
right.
invented that. It's on my notebook now. It's delta, theta, alpha, beta. Delta below 4 hertz, theta 4 to 7 hertz, alpha 8 to 13 hertz, and beta 13 to 38 hertz.
Yo,
and the
Wikipedia,
monks
hang
think
on.
at 39 to 100 hertz when they meditate, but that's a different story.
What happened?
What? The
Monks?
gamma? Yeah.
Monks get what?
Monks get 39 to 100 hertz.
All right, listen. Alpha waves, I've got it on Wikipedia that they're actually 8 to 12 hertz, not 8 to 13.
What did I
hertz.
say?
You said 8 to 13.
8 to 13. What did you have?
8 to 12.
8 to 12. There's a whole bunch of different numbers, but these are like
The online community is aflame with controversy.
No. These ones. No. I saw like several different numbers, but these ones were like. This was in an article explaining the history of how that it happened in the 30s and 40s and stuff. So I took these numbers because I knew there were like several different numbers. They were all over the place when I was researching this. So this is the famous ones I found. Whatever.
We can do
All right,
Mulholland.
and then,
Mulholland was, hold on.
We wanted to cover this Dr. Mulholland character, who
I don't have a year, man.
who knows, but we want to cover him. He seems to have done some definitive studies on what the effect of flicker rates.
He's a psychophysiologist. He
Supposedly he slapped like a bunch of children in front of a television and hooked a EEG is it?
Yeah.
EEG up to their mind, and he found that it produces or lowers your alpha waves or produces more alpha waves. One or the other. You're supposed to be in beta, but they all occur at the same time.
and we I don't know.
So also, since that study you mentioned, the brainwave types have been subdivided, correct?
Correct. The original 4. These were the original 4 types of brainwaves. They just use that so the EEG can actually make sense of things because all these brainwaves are happening at the same time. So they want to monitor in a category.
Each one and what they're doing all the time and stuff, so it's more of like a convenience thing. But there are other gamma brain waves, 39 to 100 hertz, are involved in the higher mental activities.
So after just
and
30 seconds of watching television, it's been found that the brain can
Produce alpha waves, which is almost like being in a comatose state. The alpha brain waves are
typically associated with ultra receptive, completely disconnected kinds of consciousness. In fact, the fucked up thing is that as you're watching this video, you are at an increased state of
We have
susceptibility to
precisely
suggestion.
calculated through our research the precise frame rate and flicker rate to mesmerize you, and now you think that I'm cool in a way that you won't even find out for actually like 3 years from now. It's gonna be like a Dairy Queen commercial, and it's gonna trigger it.
YouTube champion.
The human mind doesn't just have beta waves or alpha waves at one given time. They have all types of waves
Right.
all over the place and all the time. The reason they're structured into category is only for convenience when being read by an EEG.
So don't think that when you watch a television, you're now an alpha.
No.
But
Alpha
flicker,
fluctuates. Alpha fluctuates. The theta fluctuates. It's all fluctuations. That's how you read it. Go ahead. Smokestack.
flicker rate tests show that alpha brain waves are altered, producing a type of hypnosis. So,
What does that mean? Which it really means we're coming across. We started out looking at subliminals, but we're really coming across the fact that
Our brain works at a frequency of like any wave that
and also
it
we're
encounters.
coming across the fact that the traditional form of subliminals isn't really how it's going on anymore. There's the old way where they used to say, drink Coke.
Well, is it easy
or whatever,
is it easier
but,
for
I
them
mean-
to give you a specific message, or is it easy?
Easier for them to put you in a specific mind
well,
state.
here's what we're
into
gonna
a
say.
dream-like mind
Right.
state.
And here's what
That's
we're gonna say.
easier than giving you a specific message.
As far as this flicker rates goes, I think it has nothing to do with subliminals and everything to do with controlling reality. And I think it has to do with putting you in a state where you more readily believe what you're being told.
The light bulbs are gonna be fucking you. Do you understand? Oh my god. The light bulbs can like send messages to your fucking laptop. Do you understand it? Oh.
Well, no. So I mean, fiber optics have been around a long time.
No.
Well, but that's what
Did
it
you
stems
see
from.
there's an article where they have ceiling lights that are flickering at such a rate where they can, ceiling lights in like medical facilities that interact with the computers the secretary had. Dude, it's like a new like clean internet or something. I don't fucking know, dude. I've been reading. It's fucking like nuts what they're doing. Flicker rates are nuts. They control your mind.
Well, there's
It's
plenty
mind control.
there's plenty of information out there about some basic effects about putting you in a hypnotic state of where you're very like you're basically prone to believing anything they tell you.
Okay.
What would be the way to say it? You're putting you in a hypnotic state where you're prone to suggestion.
No, that's hypnosis. That's why
it is.
that's why the Darren Brown thing is
Important.
Listen,
One
Mick
other major
Rare
trait. Hang
says-
on. One other major trait of hypnosis is that people in a hypnotized state always want to please their
Right. And this
hypnotist.
goes so
people
deep.
hang on. People in a hypnotized state always want to please their hypnotist.
And this goes so deep that when you rock your baby, it goes to sleep because of the hypnotized state you put it into. Because of the rocking. Because these frequencies go further than light. Light is just the fastest attack of the thing. Because sound is much slower, but it still puts you in another state of mind.
All right, so let's get back to some specific companies that are involved in this technology.
Well, it would be the sun ray, a non-lethal spotlight-like weapon. This new device designed to disorient its targets.
So this is called the Sun Ray. This is a weapon developed by who?
By I think it's Genesis Illuminations.
Genesis
and what it does
Illuminations.
is it overloads their
Yo, hang on.
it overloads their neural circuitry with a high intensity light. So this is another type. This is the brightness of the thing. We'll go ahead and fucking fuck you as well as the flicker of the thing.
So hang on.
We're just
Genesis
so feeble.
Communications is involved in this flicker rate as a weapon.
No, they don't
Right?
use flicker rate. They use intensity rate. They
So,
use.
but it's still
This
so
takes
this,
over, like, your
this has to
neurons.
do with the idea of light being fired at a certain rate to fuck you up.
This has
right?
this
Is that true? Yes or no? know.
That's true, exactly, because what we're trying to say here is that they can flash light at you that will make you not
So
cool.
there's companies
you
there's
can't-
companies out there already that are just figuring out how to flash light at you to fuck you up.
No,
So
yeah,
there's
right.
extremes of it. There must be very like soft versions of that technology as well, and they're probably in your home right now.
We got cars
So-
that move as fast as bullets. Don't get, you know.
we
Light
don't.
is, yes
Shut
we
the
do.
fuck-
Light is the ultimate weapon, the instantaneous.
Yes, this is the new weapon.
500,083 meters per second or whatever the fuck it is. It's super fast.
This is the new weapon. This is it.
This is the new weapon, and it gives you a fucking. If you don't look away immediately and cower, you fucking fall over and puke all over the place, man.
Alright,
It says Genesis Illuminations.
For developing a weapon that uses light beams to incapacitate people, Consciousnexus
Is
It's putting you on blast.
Fuck your incapacitator. Don't swear or you'll get electrocuted.
Genesis Illuminations.
I'm
So this is a light-based weapon called the stun ray, and they bill it as a less lethal optical incapacitation effector, and it uses
I have it as a non-lethal light beam incapacitation weapon. That's on the
the Genesis Illuminations website.
Well, it's not only about them, it's the Intelligent Optical Systems. They have a website.
No, wait,
And there's
the
Genesis Illumination website. And honestly, it looks like a fucking high school student made this fucking website. And, like, they're working with some...
high illuminate weird weapons.
All right, Genesis Illumination, continuing to
Shit
put you on blast. Just for the internet community, we want you to know that they proclaim themselves to have a broad application for non-lethal stun, illumination, and infrared surveillance for U.S. and international military and law enforcement, homeland security, and peacekeeping, national, state, and local law enforcement, border patrol, private security, contractors, prisons, first responders, fire, emergency medical services, search and rescue, Coast Guard, and maritime and marine industries. Basically, that's like a message to the CIA or...
Listen, it's impossible to put a flicker weapon on a drone. What are you talking about, crazy man?
Yeah, are you guys nuts?
No,
What
you're
the fuck?
crazy.
No,
They
you're
can't
crazy.
put a fucking. They can't put a fucking flicker rate fucking vomit machine on a drone. They can't do it.
No one is trying to
They
infect
can't
your
do
mind in
it.
any way. There's no one out there anywhere. No one anywhere. No one ever would ever try to affect your mind in any way. No rich and powerful people have any agenda outside of what you've been taught on your television.
Every superhero is above the government. Every superhero is above the government.
Alright.
This is not an ongoing mind control tactic. Marvel, Stanley, government, look it up.
You.
Government.
The government is not fresh and they don't like you.
All right, Genesis Illumination. This is a quote from their website. With escalating emphasis on security and combating terrorism, the market is projected to grow exponentially in the future. So, this is another company that makes money from the myth of escalating terrorism. After extensive research and development of stun ray technology, we have patent protection for 20 years. We are perfectly positioned to control a key segment of this lucrative market. This is on their website. This is on the Genesis Illuminations website. They come right out themselves and say, after extensive research and development of stun ray technology, we have patent protection for 20 years. We are perfectly positioned to control a key segment of this lucrative market.
Fuck these pricks. Fuck these pricks. Hold on, I'm gonna...
All right, so another company We're gonna put them on blast.
iOS.
One more company, iOS. It goes 1, 2, 3. Intelligent Optical Systems. That's right. Put them on blast,
out of Torrance,
Earthling.
California, CEO Ruben Sandler received a contract from the American State Police AMSTAPO to develop a multicolored LED flashing flashlight that, when flashed with a certain frequency of colors, will make its victims nauseous,
What?
disoriented,
Okay, so
and
this
or
is-
vomit all over themselves.
So this is another company
Another one,
developing
everyone.
weapons based on light flickering at a certain rate.
Right, and if you don't cower immediately, you fucking fall over and puke on yourself.
Like I said before, I think.
These motherfuckers are developing weapon systems based on the rate that light flickers at. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
that
we
turn you
haven't-
into a fucking retard and make you puke on yourself.
We're working on it.
That's
Right, and we're working on more connections, and this is a topic that's like locked down. I mean, it's hard to find info on flicker rates.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about it is it's not light only, it's sound, it's radio, it's everything affects your brainwaves. And we got into brainwaves after thinking about flicker rate, and it just seems that you're just under constant bombardment. It's a really, really, really big thing.
Yeah. So you're being basically, in conclusion, we do know that there are some very real effects on your brain from the rate that lights flicker,
Oh,
and
definitely.
it can be used as a weapon.
make you puke on your fucking self. Like I
Right.
said.
It can be used to hypnotize you. It can be used to put you to sleep. It can be used to make you believe anything you're told.
Grierson,
Mick Grierson.
Yeah, Mick Grierson.
Yeah.
Oh, in the episode of Darren Brown, he's a hypnotist, by the way. He used Dr. Mick Grierson to create a program to feed into a arcade game that they manipulated in a pub and put somebody to sleep, and took them across the street into the same game they were playing and had them really actually in it. Then he and Mick Grierson was in this for some reason, and he's really in the video and stuff like that. The interviews have been really weird. He won't reveal how they did it, but supposedly it's real. And we have that.
Consciousnexus. This has been your episode on flicker rates.
Consciousnexus.
Sorry we couldn't totally give you the smoking gun. We're gonna keep on the trail.
You are no longer welcome to Consciousnexus.